Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Jackee Taylor. Outlaw Archives pops into your life, right? And these people associated with Outlaw Archives, if people don't know, Outlaw Archives are people that collect Hell's Angel memorabilia, mostly Hell's Angel memorabilia from all over the country. They collect patches, and a lot of people say they shouldn't be holding this type of stuff because it belongs to the club. Anything related to the club usually goes back to the club. I mean, different people have different thoughts on that.
Correct. And I understand that. Bo Bushnell reached out to me after my podcast came out. He said, like you, he'd been following my story in the news and blah, blah, blah. And he was wondering if I had anything, if my father left me anything. I said, actually, he left me a lot of things. He's like, oh, can you send me some pictures? So I sent him a couple of pictures, and he asked if I'd ever be willing to sell anything. If I had patches, I said I took the patches back to the club. I hung on to some pictures. I hung on to this and that. But the things, the jewelry, they really wanted his jewelry back. There's things that I took back to the club out of respect, because it is still part of my life. And I had to see if they were going to, how they would react to me bringing his patches back. So I did take the patches.
Were you afraid when you told the club, I have these patches and I want to
do you know the story? I knocked. I marched my ass up on Good Friday.
Tell me the story.
My ass up all by myself with patches in a Ziploc bag. And a wonderful man named John answered. And I said, hi, I need to speak to somebody in charge. And he said, okay, who are you? I said, I'm Butch Crouch's daughter. I'm here to return his patches. He's dead. And he went, let me make a phone call real quick. So we called the current president, and he said, put her on the phone. And I still consider him my uncle. And he was very grateful that I did that, and said that if it wasn't Good Friday, he'd be there in 2 seconds to give me a hug, and asked if he could take me out to dinner and talk. I said, sure. And I went in and sat in the clubhouse for a little bit, and John poured me a stiffy because I was a little, thanks for not me. He said, you want a drink? I said, yes, please. Once again, thanks for not, because I was scared. I was told my whole life these guys are going to kill me. So, I think that was about 2015 that I did that. They took me out to dinner a couple days later, and we had a great talk. And, they told me we were never after you. Yeah, we were after your father. Of course we were after your father, but we would have never hurt your mother and you children. You guys, I changed your diaper. I would never do that. And, looking across the table and him reaching across and grabbing my arm, I knew he meant well. I knew that he was legit and I had nothing to be fearful of. And I never did. So then that made me angry all over again. Because what did the marshals do to my family? They told us that, they were in danger and we were going to be murdered. And, I can't be, in hindsight, I guess I can't. I have such mixed emotions about that, because it was all for nothing and I was ripped away from my people. And I really feel like it was all for nothing. But once again, it put me here in this place, and I am eternally grateful for being here. I love Montana. I've met my people out here, and they're great. I never want to leave. So, I don't know if that makes any sense.
So you meet Bo, and what happens then?
Okay.
You send him some
back
pictures.
to that. So I send him some pictures. I send him, some stuff that I have, and he invites me. He does buy a couple of things. He bought my father's gauntlets. He bought my father's belt buckle and a couple of pins. And he wants to see my stuff. So I said, I was going to take a trip with my daughter down the California coast. I'm going to bring it to you and show you. So I did. And he called a man by the name of Paul Zuckerman. And come to find out, a couple years prior, Bo had pretty much been living in his car, collecting things. And he was posting on Instagram, and a gentleman by the name, use that term very loosely, let's just say a man by the name of Paul Zuckerman reached out and said, wow, this is a great collection. Let's do lunch. So they went out to coffee, lunch, whatever. And Bo was telling him what he was doing. And Paul said, where are you living? He said, I don't have a place. And rest is history. So Paul bought a big archive and said, let's do this. Let's start collecting together. I'll fully fund you. I'm a lawyer. He's a personal injury attorney in Beverly Hills. So he's fully financing this man to, live out his dreams. And plus Paul's a collector. He collects cars, he collects Rolexes, and he collects archives, and he collects life stories.
So basically, Bo is kind of like the curator of this collection.
He's the curator of the museum.
And he owns some memorabilia, but he's basically the curator for it.
Maybe some of the stuff that he brought, but Paul Zuckerman is definitely the 100% money man behind everything that involves Outlaw Archives, even if he denies it. I have paperwork that I have signed that proves that he really is. So yes, Paul Zuckerman is the money man. So I went there. Paul comes up. They're looking through my shit going, oh my God. And Paul said, this is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Wow, thank you for bringing it here. And throws me some cash for my expenses. And I'm like, I'm a single mom with 3 kids. I'm like, wow, thank you. And he's like, no, have a good trip. I got more where that came from. And so we started talking back and forth. And, I thought, God, they have this insane bank vault in the archive. Everything is pristine. Bo is a clean freak. He is very, very OCD about cleanliness. Constantly, and I appreciate that so much, as everybody should, that is preserving and documenting history. So, I got to thinking about it, and we were talking more, and they just seemed like great guys, and I didn't know anybody in Hollywood, and I was getting hit up left and right to do a book, I was getting hit up left and right after Relative Unknown came out, and I didn't really know what to do with that, and plus I still had to kind of go through Cadence 13, and they were saying no to everything, and I wanted to do stuff. And Paul said, well, we might be able to help with that. I am an attorney. I'm like, You also have that archive, and this trunk is sitting in my living room with a sheet over it as my little footrest. I mean, I wasn't doing anything with it. I didn't know at the time what to really do with it. This was about 7 years ago.
And you didn't know really what it was worth at the time.
I didn't know. And I didn't know anything about putting out books. I didn't know anything about filmmaking. I didn't know anything about anything back then. I'm waitressing and freaking bartending, running casinos in Billings, Montana, just trying to raise these 3 kids, trying to tell my story, doing this, doing that. And anyways, I made the decision with talking to them to house my things at the archive. What his vision was originally, at least what he told me his vision was to preserve outlaw biker history. And I'm a history buff. I love this. I'm fascinated that it's crazy that my father was Butch Crouch, because there's so much history. I was putting my stuff in the archive.
So were you donating it to him, or was he trying to buy it from you?
No, he wasn't trying to buy it, and I never offered that. But I did say, can I house my things in the archive? And once you guys do the museum and whatnot, that'll be a great display. Would you guys do that? Would you house it? And they're like, oh yeah, that'd be great. And Paul got really very emotional about it. But I wanted to do that to help add to his collection, not give it to him, not sell it to him, but to have it on a loan. Not a loan, but what would you even call it?
Consignment. It's kind of like
not a consignment. Not a consignment, because I wasn't going to make money off of it.
It's kind of like where you give something to a.
I knew that they were going to preserve it, right? I thought it was in safe hands, and I thought he's going to take care of this stuff, because at this time, 100% completely trusted these guys. I didn't know any better. And I didn't. So
they can show it, like basically they could show it at the museum and show.
Yes. Once they did that, build this up, blah blah blah. Do what you need to do, because I know that you're going to safeguard it. Oh, we'll give you the combo to the safe. You have, you can come here anytime. We'll fly you out. Blah blah blah. Well, then they ended up flying me back out, and he had a contract, and he how he structured the contract. It was a very long contract, and this is Paul Zuckerman, in his office, called me in, him and Bo, and a man by the name of Stephen Glass. And if you Google Stephen Glass, he was a journalist from 96 to 99 who fabricated a bunch of stories and got busted doing it. And he decided after that he was no longer allowed to be a journalist anymore. He got that yanked. I can't remember if he did prison time or not, but he got in a lot of trouble for it.
How do you get banned from being a journalist?
Because you fabricate stories. I mean, that was a huge thing. They made a movie about him called Shattered Glass.
I know a lot of people that fabricate stories all the time.
So, right, exactly. So this was a big thing. So he went off to be a lawyer. So he went to law school, passed the bar, and then he wanted to practice law. Well, no state will allow him to practice law. So now he works for Paul Zuckerman. And Paul Zuckerman brought him in to read this contract, this liar and this fabricator. And while he's reading the contract, I'm like, who is this guy? Do I need representation? What's going on here? I thought we were just housing stuff and we were going to we were talking about maybe putting out my dad's book, and because you guys know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. What's going on here? Do I need a lawyer? And Paul says to me, no, I'm your friend. You don't need a lawyer, and I'm a lawyer. This is fine. He's really good at reading contracts. Steven's really good at fast talking his way through a contract and distracting. So he'd read 2 sentences, start talking about his dog that just died. Read another paragraph, start talking about his wife that just died last year. Read another, and I'm like, what is going on? I don't feel, this does not feel right. And consistently telling me, Jackee, it's okay. Just let's get through this. We got a great surprise for you at the end. I know you don't like money, but we're going to give you $10,000, basically kind of as a thank you for letting us house this for us. I'm like, what? Okay. I signed over in this contract that Stephen Glass sped talk through. I signed over my life rights and my father's life rights for $10,000.